Have you ever faced a frustrating issue while working on your table view in Swift? If you've been struggling with expandable and collapsible cells, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into a common problem: why the indexPathsForSelectedRows method returns nil. I totally get it. It's annoying when you want to toggle a cell's state, but tapping anywhere on the cell triggers the action. You're not the only one dealing with this. Many developers have faced similar challenges when trying to create a smooth user experience. Let's look at the specific question at hand. One user asked, "Why does indexPathsForSelectedRows return nil when I try to toggle my expandable cells?" They want the toggle to work only when tapping on the header view, not the entire cell. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what's happening here? The indexPathsForSelectedRows method returns nil because the cells are not being selected in the traditional sense. When you add a tap gesture recognizer to the header view, it prevents the cell from being marked as selected. Let's break this down further. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a quick tip on how to effectively manage tap gestures in your table view. To address the issue of indexPathsForSelectedRows returning nil, the user should first understand that this method only returns values when the table view cells are selected. Since the user is using a tap gesture recognizer on the header view, the cells are not being marked as selected. The user can resolve this by modifying the expand cell function. Instead of relying on indexPathsForSelectedRows, the user should determine the index path directly from the tap gesture recognizer's view. Here's how the user can implement this. Inside the expand cell function, the user should retrieve the header view's index path using the table view's indexPathForRowAt method, passing in the header view's center. Finally, the user should ensure that the toggle logic correctly updates the selected index and reloads the appropriate row. This way, the expand and collapse functionality will work as intended when tapping on the header. Fun fact, did you know that the first iPhone was released in 2007? It revolutionized mobile development, and here we are, still solving problems like pros. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user points out that the issue arises because reloading the row immediately deselects it. When you call reload rows at index paths, it clears the selection, which is why indexPathsForSelectedRows returns nil. To fix this, they suggest storing the selected index path in a separate variable instead of relying on indexPathsForSelectedRows. Let's move forward and look at another answer. One user points out that the indexPathsForSelectedRows property returns nil if there are no selected rows. They suggest using a guard statement to safely unwrap this property. Instead of checking the count, you can directly return the first selected row if it exists. That's the end of that answer. Let's see another perspective. An alternative solution provided by a user suggests modifying your approach to updating the table view. Instead of using reload rows at index paths, try using begin updates and end updates without reloading specific rows. This can help manage the expand and collapse functionality more effectively. Here's a pro tip. Always ensure that your gesture recognizers do not interfere with the default selection behavior of your table view. This will save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. By adjusting how you handle taps on your header views, you can create a seamless, expandable table view experience. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tricks.